Välkommen till kvällens Zoom-möte med rubriken Skapa fred steg för steg. Välkommen också Geoffrey West som har ägnat stor del åt sitt liv åt att forska om fred och hur fred kan skapas. Han kommer att besvara svåra frågor som: är fred bara frånvaron av krig? Och kan man skapa världsfred genom lokala initiativ? Vi kastar oss rakt in i föredraget, så varsågod Geoffrey.
Yes, that maybe there's a different way for Enhetspartiet to connect with the Swedish people instead of following the traditional campaign strategy of talking about problems and promising to do things that really never end up getting solved. Suddenly there's a new party that's bringing a different energy, and they're actually showing people how to create solutions for communities and how to bring the power back to the communities where I think many Swedes are starting to feel after a very long time of watching the Swedish society kind of break down a little bit. And I've been following the Swedish society for a number of years now. I've had a strong connection to Sweden over a long period of time. So I'm hoping that what I can share will be something important. So use whatever you feel is meaningful for you. Now, as far as myself, let's, oh, sorry. Jag ber om ursäkt. I guess jag should. But a little bit about me. I've known from a very young age that there were going to be significant changes in the world and that I was going to somehow be connected to this. And my entire life path has taken me through a series of experiences to help prepare me for the message that I'm sharing with the world now and the message that I share with you this evening. I've had background as a broadcast journalist in the airline industry, multinational corporate jobs, dealing with the travel industry. I had my own online newscast from 2012 to 2018. So I'm not uncomfortable. In fact, I'm quite comfortable acting in a media role. And I have been teaching people about what has not been working in the world, and I have been following the spiritual pulse as well. So around 1996, I became fed up with what I was doing in the multinational corporate world, and I started building this vision, this Green Print for Life vision. I went to the University for Peace in Costa Rica in 2005 to study a master's degree in peace education, to start building an academic validation for the Green Print for Life. I discovered that the University for Peace is not interested in peace. They're only interested in the business of peace. But what I also discovered is that there is no holistic definition for the word peace in the world. And that really raised a question in my mind. How can we talk about peace when we have no definition to hold people accountable to? So when leaders talk about peace, what is it that they're saying? We don't have a definition to say, well, no, you're not talking about peace because we don't know what peace is. So where are we now? The world that we grew up in is now gone. I think many of you, from the very spiritual perspective, you can feel that. The energy in the world has changed. We're moving towards something better, and these energies are starting to split humanity into different levels of consciousness. And we are being given a choice to make, to either follow the current energies, which I feel are more negative. They're not wrong, but they're more negative, or to move into a more life-honoring, positive space for energies. So different indigenous and ancient societies have spoken of a time when there would be a great rebalancing of energies on the earth. And it's my feeling that we are now in this shift of energies. We have... So I believe we're now in this shift, and we're on the edge of a very historic transformation, moving into these new energies. The global institutions that we used to trust and look to for leadership, they're power is weakening. People are no longer trusting them. Economic nationalism is beginning to come back. People are realizing we have to take control of what we are creating within our country and not let it be controlled by entities outside of Sweden. So it's a new type of arrangement. It was always there, but it has been taken away from us. Now we as people have to reclaim and bring back this strategy into a national structure and into a community structure. So peace on Earth, as I briefly told you when I studied at the University for Peace, has become a bit of an illusion. So for centuries, humans have claimed to want peace. We've written books, poems, songs, and policies for peace. We've prayed, marched, protested for peace. We've created institutions and organizations that claim to be dedicated to peace. And yet, we've never been able to create this experience of peace on Earth. And in my research, the reasons for why this peace has not been possible, we do not have a broadly accepted definition for the word peace that we can hold the world accountable to. But what is more alarming or a bit more distressing is that the global systems that we have been looking to for leadership on Earth, these systems were never designed to create peace on Earth. And I won't go into too much detail about that. If you have specific questions, I can answer that. But for example, if we look at the banking system has been on debt-based money creation. And if we are in debt, that means that we can be controlled. So the banking system, by its very design, is meant to control us through debt. And yet, we never talk about the banking system in terms of global peace. So we have to find a new way first to define peace and then learn how to build peace or the coherence of peace into the different structures of our society. And this I'll talk about a little bit more. Peace has never been profitable. If peace had been profitable, we would have had peace on Earth. So we're dealing with a very well organized entity that has been deliberately preventing peace on Earth by creating structures that keep us under control. The Greenprint for Life, my work has focused on three primary definitions. So if we want to begin to teach the world about peace, we have to find a common language to describe this process that we are all a part of. I cannot talk about religion, or I cannot talk about all the different labels of separation, race, religion, culture, gender, orientation. Those are all different, designed to help break up humanity. So how can the word that I chose that could describe this entire human experience is life capitalized. So I've chosen to define this as an ever-evolving process that includes everything, the all that is, the physical, the non-physical, the visible, the invisible, the known and the unknown that support all things on Earth and beyond. So that includes religions. It includes everything that we try to use as separation. We are humans having a spiritual experience. Life is this all-encompassing. So with that definition, we can begin to explore peace as an internal alignment to the coherent patterns or frequencies of life. And this can be experienced as unconditional love for life, but it is also expressed outwardly as service to life. And this depends on where each person is in his or her own spiritual growth. So on one day, one person might make a choice that is more in alignment with peace, and on another moment or another day, someone might make that choice to not be in alignment with peace. So peace becomes an experience in each moment where we decide to show our alignment, our alignment to life through our choices. We create through our choices. And when our choices are in alignment with life, we begin to experience that coherence frequency that I believe creates peace. We begin to feel it within ourselves. If we look at the animals in nature, they know how to respond to the frequency of the earth, the Schumann resonance. Animals know when earthquakes are coming, for example. If you look at birds in the sky or fish in the water, they all know how to move together. Somehow there is something that guides them so that they never bump into each other. So what is this alignment, this energy that guides birds or fish in the water? What is it that's moving it? And can we as humans tap into this alignment frequency with the earth and with life? So my work seeks to introduce a new style of governance, and I'm calling this a holistocracy. So it's an emerging form of governance that ensures decisions serve the well-being of the whole, the well-being of life. Individuals, communities, ecosystems, Earth, future generations, and the universe. Recognizing that we are connected and interdependent in a very quantum way to co-creating this experience that we are having on Earth. So it is a shared stewardship of life. So peace is not, in my mind, peace is not achieved by fixing systems. It emerges by transforming the level of consciousness that creates the systems. So when we begin to shift ourself and our alignment to Earth and begin to feel that connection to life, we begin to align to solutions that are more life-honoring. Some people will bring solutions to governance. Some will bring solutions to the legal system. Some will bring solutions to agriculture, energy, communications, you name it, the law enforcement. All the different branches that we are currently in, souls that choose to align to the higher frequencies can bring solutions forward, and we can bring that together into a community structure. It's a way of bringing the energy or the frequency of peace into the legal system with the language of law, or the currency of economy, the rhythm of education, the architecture of health, the ethic of leadership, and the life breath of community. The strategy that I'm offering, we don't want to tell people what to see. We want to create the solutions and the conditions that will allow people to see it for themselves. We can reach out to them. Okay. There are challenges. I acknowledge that there are challenges. You all certainly have lost friends or families by having a very different point of view or a different way of seeing the world. And you understand that, yes, there are certain risks in being a new leader for a new world and a new age or a new earth consciousness. Finding the courage now to stand up in the midst of all that is now happening in the world and say, hey, listen, we've got something different and we'd like to share this with you. How to reveal to people what is working and not working and why. How to show people that a new political party understands that things are not working, but more importantly, why things are not working. And we can actually lay out a framework to show people how to accomplish a huge change and also pay for it. How to reveal to people a strategy to empower communities to look after themselves without people feeling afraid or a fear of losing whatever they may already have. Some people will be afraid to try something new because they might see their job as no longer there in the future. But we will offer all kinds of new jobs that will that will replace many of the older jobs that are not life honoring. Overcoming this fear will be a challenge. How can we empower something new without risking security and survival? I hope I have given a lot of thought to this, and I think I think the Green Print for Life can offer something to help with that. Can a fringe party initiate community education while also building a national strategic political campaign? And this is where all of you will come in, and this is where your love, your passion, and your ideas and your wisdom can contribute to a shift in the way Swedes approach elections. So, some of the first goals. So, strong communities emerge when leadership and collaboration create opportunities to serve life. The leadership mission is not to control, but to inspire, empower, and create conditions where people and communities can thrive, not just for themselves, but for the future. While the other political parties focus on problems and offer empty promises, I believe the Unity Party, perhaps in combination with the MOD and maybe even Norrlandspartiet, I see some similarities here. I don't want to jump the gun, but I do see similarities where there could be a dialogue for some ideas to be explored. This kind of leadership will be new for Sweden, to be able to see past the motivation. In other words, the MOD and Enhet, from what I understand, they might have slightly different motivation for why their party exists, but you both recognize that your goal is pretty much the same. And that's where we can begin to show the Swedish people, and maybe even the world, how people can think slightly differently, but you can unite on what is the big goals for communities and for global peace and for the world generally. So we can show people that we're a party of listeners. We want to hear what people have to say. We want to build long-term relationships between national systems and strong independent communities in society. So the initial steps, and again, this is not firm. These might change, but this is what I've come up with to start. The 7 steps to get started with: a national listening campaign. And I'll explain each of these more in just a moment. We want to also define peace. We want to show people that we can put communities first. We want to build local solutions networks. In other words, we don't want to tell communities that you have to do this, 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 and this, because maybe their climate up north might be different than the climate down south. So a solution for a community in the south of Sweden may not be the same as a solution for a community in the north. So we want to show communities that we're hearing their voices. If they have solutions that are better for them, we want to honor that. And I've collected different solutions in different areas over many years, and I have them all on my computer, but that's not for today. We also want to build a holistic model for governance. We want to create as well a national strategy along with a community strategy so that they can work together and blend together. And we want to show Sweden a new political tone, how parties and people can come together with slightly different ideas and motivations. So the first step is creating a national listening campaign. So, for example, maybe a Sweden Solutions and Peace dialogue, getting people to talk about the idea of peace. What is it that Swedes really are dreaming about? I think people want healthier communities. I think people are getting tired of listening to the NATO strategy or the World Economic Forum strategy or the World Health Organization strategy. People want to have control of their own lives. We can demonstrate that we're willing to listen to those voices. So the core message, or there are ways you can do that, town halls, online surveys, live streams, community circles, you can see the different examples there on your screen. So this is politically refreshing, I believe. The core message is that Sweden already has the intelligence and the passion, I think, to solve many of the challenges. The role of governance is to help communities organize, share, and implement those solutions on a local level. So the second step, redefining peace. And I've talked about that a little bit. We need to find a new way to position the word peace in a way that governments and communities can be held accountable to it. So the questions that the Swedish people could be asked, for example, what does peace mean to you? What conditions create peace? What destroys peace? Can economic insecurity destroy peace? Can loneliness destroy peace? Can corruption destroy peace? Can disconnection from a community destroy peace? I think many of you already know the answers to these questions, but many in the regular society have probably never considered that loneliness is a symptom of a dysfunctional society, and it doesn't contribute to peace. And when we present people with the ideas that they have never thought about before, they begin to think, wow, I've been lonely. Yeah, I guess really I'm not at peace because I'm feeling disconnected from my family. I'm having trouble finding a partner because I think differently about the world. So bridging with people, connecting at a heart level with these people who are going through pain and helping them understand that their pain does not have to be in a society that is life-honoring. Förstår du vad jag menar? So peace moves from just talking about war, for example, or no war in the world, but it's actually building and creating a goal that supports a healthy and meaningful life. And I think ideally, most Swedes would resonate with this. They might not know what it looks like, but when you address them where they feel pain and help them understand that peace can be a healthy community, not just a global state of peace that is based on policy. The third step, to position at least Enhetspartiet and possibly the MOD-partiet as well, and if there are others, that's wonderful, as the Community Empowerment Party or parties. And I think this could be a very good strategy, that will reach to reach people. I think it will catch the media's attention if you choose to use that. It's not a party of being left. It's no longer left or right or center right, center left, or whatever. But we're now moving into an energy of building a resilient, a participatory, working together, a local first, solutions focused, cooperative, future-oriented party. And this will, I think, resonate with Swedes who are exhausted by ideological polarization. And I think many of you will already know what I mean by that. So the fourth goal, creating local solution networks before the election. I feel that this is critical. I think this is extremely important. We may not have time for this particular election, but I do feel that if the energy is right, I think we could have some power behind us. The energies of the universe are really moving to help Earth and human consciousness move forward. If we are willing to engage in those energies, I think a miracle is possible. We find the right channels to hit the right media, and who knows, something could just pop up and people will start asking. And if there are people in the Enhetspartiet who are good with social media, create a campaign to just start pumping the solutions out, talking about local solutions. And this can be done in different ways, talking about building vertical tower food gardens in communities so that communities can begin growing their own food, caring for the elders, having life and death, more life-honoring services for how to bring babies into the world and how to take care of bodies when people leave the world. In education, creating a mentor program where the children have to mentor each other through the education process. Children begin to develop their spiritual gifts, meditation, and the various disciplines that will help them remember their spiritual connection and not to lose it. The current education model teaches children how to forget who they are. I believe the Enhetspartiet can bring back an education model that will empower children very young to remember who they are, and they will become more active contributors to the community moving forward. We can work on more business economy cooperation. We can build into the legal system conflict transformation. We can create a local economy based on resources so that the value comes and stays within the community. We can have different housing solutions. And this is something I won't talk about on today's presentation, but the economic drivers for the Green Print for Life, one of the big solutions is hemp. And I realize that hemp has still a very questionable status within Sweden, but worldwide, more and more countries are beginning to discover that hemp has the potential to transform everything in a society. Hemp can be used in all different ways. It is not the illegal cannabis plant that many people think it is. Personally, the Green Print for Life believes that pharmaceutical drugs are more dangerous than cannabis, but that's not important. What we want to teach people is that you can build houses with hemp. You can make clothing from hemp. You can have food. You can have anything from plastic. You can build cars with hemp. There are companies now making cars with hemp. A company is now making airplanes with hemp. There are so many different solutions, rope, tools, everything. If we begin to bring these ideas into communities, people can have their own businesses offering hemp products. Instead of working for another multinational corporation in stress, they could have their own business selling hemp food or some hemp product. They'll have time to go home to their family at night instead of working overtime for a multinational corporation. So even if it's small at first, it's a step towards showing people that we are no longer waiting for permission from the national government. We're going ahead and start to look after ourselves. And this could become important in Sweden and every country moving forward. There's a big talk now about building AI data centers. I think Sweden right now wants to build 130 data centers. These centers use an incredible amount of energy. And in Canada and the US, for example, the national grid cannot handle a lot of data AI data centers. It will collapse the national grid. It will probably do the same thing in Sweden. Therefore, it's very important for communities to start developing a local energy strategy moving forward. And this is what the Green Print for Life can help with. And this is powerful psychologically. You're telling the national government, you're telling people that we're not waiting for permission. We're going to do it ourselves. And that's what will make Enhet and MOD very unique, and I think it will get attention amongst more people. So the fifth objective, to build the governance model. Now, I just spoke about the local model, but at the same time, we also have to consider what role the national party will play. So as communities become more empowered to create local change, they will begin to work towards electing a national government that will support that. So there has to be a strategy within the national party leadership about what the party will offer and look after for the country, and what will the national party turn over to The communities. What will the communities be responsible for? What will the National Party be responsible for? Today, most government models operate from the top down. The government says, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and you're going to do this. What Partiet can offer is that we're going to empower communities to start learning how to make change, and then those people will want to elect a national government that will support that. So the vision is being built locally and then being transferred to the national level. So the communities provide the intelligence that goes up. The national systems provide the support that flows down into the country. And this could be an ongoing loop that could really make a difference with all. So, for example, the national government, we should, and I'll discuss this a little bit more in a moment, they'll look at the larger national issues, protecting rights, coordinate infrastructure, support diplomacy, maintain stability, provide frameworks, and share the knowledge between communities, while the communities would help shape the priorities, the local priorities, co-create solutions, strengthen the resilience or the strength of the Swedish economy on a local level. Increase participation. I think more people will want to get involved when they realize that they have a chance to create something better for their family, their children, and themselves. We want to reduce the dependency of a community on the national government. Again, the national government looks after the national issues. The communities should be able to have the freedom and the responsibility to look after their interests on the local level. And that feels more mature than just a simple anti-government rhetoric. We're not talking about saying the government is wrong. We're just merely saying we want to build something for ourselves, but you can look after your responsibilities on your level. Let's see, yeah, okay. So a community election strategy, for example, could be to find as many people who are ready and willing to sit down and think about a customized vision for their community. Now, as Enhetspartiet and MOD, they decide what communities they want to be responsible for. They go and create small groups of 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 people, whoever is interested. And they can sit down and, using the Green Print for Life, begin looking at how we can rebuild our community. What things could we bring and set up in our community that will move us forward the way we want? Together, this group will create the ideal vision for the community, using the Green Print for Life framework to consider what communities need. What will the community choose for the economic drivers? For example, do they have land to grow hemp? If they do not have land to grow hemp, are there other possible solutions that a community could introduce that will allow them to create an economic base for growth? What incentive or investment model will be offered? What do you mean, Jeff? Oh, this is something very new. What do you mean? What kind of incentive? Well, the Green Print for Life believes that you will get more interest when you can show them that there is a market for something. And I'll use hemp again as an example. There's this cycle where people don't want to grow hemp because there's no market to deliver the hemp to. And the manufacturers say, well, we don't want to build a manufacturing plant because there's no demand for hemp. So nobody wants to take the first step to invest in doing something. So, for example, if a community shows the initiative to say, we plan to grow hemp, we're going to allow hemp to be produced, and if a company comes to our community to manufacture that, we will offer you a certain perk or a certain privilege. We will allow you to choose the location for your business in the industrial park. We will offer employees of your business passes to an athletic complex or to the arts and theater, whatever. These are ideas that you can decide at a local level how to reward those who choose to invest in the community. So the Green Print has 3 levels of investment strategy. There's the manufacturer level, where they invest millions of crowns to build factories and manufacturing. You have the business investment model for those who choose to build businesses that sell different products. But you can also have an investment model where people can buy into a strategy where they could have a hemp house in the future when it is built. So for those who invest 500,000 crowns, for example, they could have the first opportunity to get a hemp house at a discount, or maybe even free of charge, depending on the level of investment. It's how we move forward with that. When you have a strategy and choose enough people who are willing to be elected to council, for example, if 10 people or 15 people, 20 people of that group, if they say we will stand together as a group to deliver this solution for the community, that will be powerful, because every person campaigning in the community is just campaigning for one person, themselves. If a whole group of people suddenly come in and say, we're willing to be elected for the entire council to deliver the strategy that we're moving forward, that sends a very different message. And that will cause stress amongst the individual candidates because they cannot compete with that. They will have no idea how to handle that situation. So it's a new strategy that the Green Print for Life is offering, and it demonstrates a teamwork committed to a vision that is bigger than any individual council member. So something, oh yeah, right. Okay. So how could this happen? So if after a group gets elected as a council member, they could have, for example, a town hall meeting where they invite people together and they break into different areas of specialty. Those who have governance experience, they will sit in one group. Those with financial banking experience will sit in another group. The legal, penal, or agriculture, architecture, education, communications, strategy. Each of those groups of people will identify how they think their profession should be rebuilt in the community. After they have done that, everybody starts to walk around to all the other groups. They begin to look at what the others have written about what they think. And someone else might say, well, wait a minute, why not have this idea? Someone else might add another idea. So someone who is a doctor might have an idea about how to improve agriculture or infrastructure, but nobody ever asks. Nobody has given the teachers the opportunity to look at the legal system and say, well, what do they think should happen? Nobody has given the bankers a chance to look at the transportation industry and say, well, what kind of transportation systems does a banker want? Maybe they want a certain kind of transportation system that hasn't been considered before. Hyperloop, for example. That's an up and coming, and I've done an example of that. Anders and Ulla have it. I'll share that maybe another time. But we want people to have a chance to input to all the other groups. We take the areas of specialty, we allow the professionals to give their input first, then we give the community a chance to offer additional ideas and suggestions. As they say, fresh eyes can maybe offer new ideas. And again, this is a very different strategy as well. And I don't think the other parties are going to know how to handle this. It's a very empowering type of solution. So creating a new political emotional tone. And this may matter more than policy. Most politics today, and I think you already know this, they run on anxiety, outrage, fear, division, and moral support. They offer vague promises to fix problems that never get fixed because the systems are never designed to be fixed or to create peace. They were never designed to create peace. So we need to show an empowerment, a willingness to create the solutions. A different emotional frequency could become the campaign identity. And this is what will make Enhetspartiet different from everything else. This party will come across as calm, intelligent, participatory, empowering, practical, offering solutions, respectful, and solutions-oriented. This is rare, and it, I think, will capture people's attention, even if they're only curious, om de är nyfiken, till exempel. So developing a national strategy, okay, this is a little bit about what I touched on before. The party, most people are afraid, pardon me, to elect a fringe party or a party that doesn't have much strategy because they think these people do not have enough experience. They don't have the knowledge to be able to lead a national party. So we have to be able to show people that, yes, the party has thought about solutions on a national level, but also on the local level. The party cannot appear naive. They also have to be able to show people that, yes, we have the knowledge to address national and international concerns. So we have to show an understanding of the economic realism. We have to look at the economic presence in the world today, have an understanding of that and why it's not working. And this is why we are offering a local solution, because the international solution no longer works. We have to be able to show how to provide for security. We are doing something very different. We have to be able to defend that and protect it. We have to have a different negotiation with, or a different diplomatic relationship with countries around the world. We have to face the energy situation. I've addressed that already. We obviously have to talk about the immigration system. We've seen how the immigration system has destroyed the Swedish safety net in terms of people losing access to the funds that they deserve as national citizens, and it has been given away to illegal immigrants coming into the country who are destroying the culture and the fabric of the country. But we can talk about it in a language of resilience, of sovereignty, cooperation, de-escalation, and long-term stability. If we use the right language, we can talk about the changes that we want, but we present that language on an international level that comes across as at least balanced and not as threatening. Om du förstår vad jag menar. So especially in Europe right now, there is movements. I mean, I think most of you understand that many countries are showing revolutions and movements towards local resilience and social coherence, peace building, food security, how to prepare for various emergencies, and citizen participation. So as I've mentioned at the bottom, if Norrlandspartiet were to express an interest in being a part of this, then what this does is it brings the Green Print for Life strategy to a full Swedish contacts network. I know that the Norrlandspartiet is very different. They're focused on a very northern agenda. They're focusing more on a separatist type of agenda. If we can present a more life-honoring system of participatory governance, then maybe Norrlandspartiet could change their strategy a little bit and begin to say, okay, they want more community self-sustainability. That's what we want. So where we can meet the different parties on common issues, then perhaps all three parties could stand together and say, listen, we have different motivations, but we want community self-empowerment. We want to have local energy solutions. We want to be able to look after ourselves. We want less control from the national government. And we are willing to stand together to show the Swedish people that even though we think a little differently, we are looking at the bigger goals of the country in general and meeting the needs of all people. This, I think, could be a very powerful message that could be sent not only to the Swedish people, but to the national government and the media as well. So what might a national government structure look like? This is just an example. It could change, of course. So I see the governing party, that could be NHIT, MOD, and they would have their different departments or branches. So it could be the environmental stewardship and resources. They could have the foreign affairs, peace, diplomacy, and trade, monetary stability, and economic policy, and constitutional rights and ethical standards. The national government would protect everything that is Swedish. The culture, the fabric, the economy, everything that Sweden wants to preserve as a nation, as a culture, and as an identity. But also, they would have defense emergency preparedness. They would have the national research, science, and space. Yes, I did say space. I think it's very important that we begin to include a dialogue with the people about technology and civilizations that exist beyond Earth. And it has to be done in a very positive way, and it has to be done in a way that removes the fear. So this, as you can see by the way I've designed the structure, the party direction comes down to the Department of Defense and Emergency Preparedness, but they also send messages to the Science, Research, and Space, and the National Infrastructure and Strategic System. Now, I should have a line in the middle there. Those actually should all be joined together, so I missed a couple of lines there. But all of that flows down into the Department of Community Empowerment. So where NHIT, MOD, they send the direction down into the communities, but that direction goes through the Defense and Emergency Preparedness, so they can understand what's happening and prepare, of course. And then it transfers into. And then the national science research, that also flows into the community. What research can the communities begin to look after? What infrastructure can the national government assist with that will help support a community? And then at the bottom, we decide, all right, every community can look after its own education, its own health, food systems, policing, peacekeeping, housing, energy systems, transportation design, economic initiatives, conflict mediation, environmental solutions, education, and the like. Everything that can go to the community will go to the community, and just everything that is provided by the national structure is to ensure that the support is there for the communities and to protect the rights of communities to have their own solution and their own way of living. Oops, did I? Oh, I guess I had that twice. My apologies. Oops. So overall, we don't want to focus really or waste a lot of time and energy and money trying to fix problems that were never meant to be fixed. The campaign will have the different parties standing up saying, yeah, well, this is going on, we want to fix this, but we want to listen to the globalist entities. We want to follow the World Economic Forum or the World Health Organization. We want everybody to get vaccinated or whatever. We're seeing the results of the global vaccination campaign now, and the results are really not positive at all. So why do we want to compete with the other parties when we now have a chance to show them something really different? Don't try to fix a broken system. Create a new system that makes their system obsolete or no longer functional. We're offering a new and refreshing election strategy of creating and empowering the system of solutions that will organically make most, if not all, of the current problems disappear or make them redundant. Most importantly, it shows that parties can come together if that happens, with different models and different ways of thinking, but to put the country first. So, empowering communities with a voice and a choice. I think this could be a way of positioning a campaign for the Swedish people. Maybe there are better words in Swedish to make it sound good. Voice and choice, they rhyme in English, but maybe there's a different series of words that could be used to reach the Swedish people. But for now, this introductory presentation, this is just what I wanted to offer as a starting point. So I'll finish up there, and Anders, I'll open up to you if you have anything to say. We start with questions.